Nothing more appropriate to answer a tag called occultea than having a tea with me. So hello! On this channel we talk about independent spirituality and folk magic for free spirits. My name is Aster, and in today's video I have the pleasure of joining one of the latest tags that has been going on in the occult / witchcraft / spirituality community, which is the occultea, which, by the way, that name is simply genius, occultea. Because like we are spilling the tea about the occult community online. So I'm not gonna take very long to dive right in because the list of questions is pretty long, so let's get started. First of all, we have an introduction, a simple introduction. Introduce yourself. How long have you been participating in the witchcraft online space? What practices and topics do you discuss primarily? So for those of you who maybe found the video through the tag, my name is Aster and I am a Brazilian folk practitioner. I've been on YouTube talking about spirituality and folk magic for a little bit more than a year. I have started the channel January 2023, so it's been a year basically, and primarily I talk about Brazilian folk magic, the magic of my country of origin. And then we have topics, like 5 topics I think, and each topic is divided into questions. So topic 1 is impact on community. What is my personal reasoning or inspiration behind sharing my practice online? I have talked about this before, but my personal motivation, my personal reason for being here is to bring diversity to the table, is to bring a different culture, a different perspective, show the similarities and the differences between my practice and the practice of other people. I really wanted to bring a different narrative, something that people are not that used to seeing, not necessarily, bring a different voice, bring the tradition of African-derived religions, African-derived practices. I wanted to be, I don't know, the voice I would like to hear on the platform, because I think that at the end of the day we don't really have enough creators of color in general, and much more or less in the spiritual niche of YouTube. So I wanted to bring some diversity and representation. For me, it's almost like a mission. It's almost like a duty to be representing my culture. This is something really big and really very much bigger than myself. It is like when you take up something that embraces an entire country and an entire culture and history, this is really, it goes really much more beyond than just you. You know, I am very happy and very proud to be here and to say I am Brazilian, and I'm gonna share with you a little bit of the things that I know. This is really priceless to me, and yeah, that's why I'm here. What am I looking to achieve by participating? Do I seek to educate, learn, or connect? I seek both, not both. I seek all of the options. I want to educate because, like, for example, I've seen people talking about certain aspects of Brazilian culture on the internet, not really being somebody who comes from the culture, not being somebody who is initiated in any of the practices, or, you know, people who have never set foot in Brazil and think that we speak Spanish even over there. They are on the internet spreading misinformation. So of course that I'm not saying that I am the holder of the absolute truth, but being somebody who grew up in Brazil within African-derived traditions in my family and everything, I know a thing or two that I can share. So it is one of my goals to educate people, but then again, I'm not a specialist, I'm not a religious authority. I'm just a person on their own personal path, their own spiritual journey, sharing that with the world from a different cultural perspective. So at the end of the day, we end up teaching other people, but I wouldn't say that I am necessarily an educator. I think that's a little bit too much, but well, at the end we end up educating a little bit. I also love to learn through the community. Like the other day I shared a collab I did with Juju Time. We talked about hoodoo. Hoodoo is a practice that is very far, like it is very similar, but at the same time very far from my reality and my background. And talking to her, I could learn so much. And also with other collabs that I had the opportunity of doing, when you talk to somebody else about their background, about their experiences, it is really different. You can really learn a lot through just having a conversation with another creator of the community, and also through watching their videos, because everybody is coming from such different backgrounds, such different traditions. Like if we consider the creators of the tag, which I just remembered that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, but there's still time. So if we take a look at them, the creators of the occultea are Ella Harrison, who is a German folk witch, the Red-Headed Witch, which is, if I'm not mistaken, an American folk practitioner with a little bit of an indigenous background because of the area where she grew up. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we also have the Polish folk witch, and which means that she's from Poland, of course. So we have here three completely different paths, and if we take a look at each of their content, we are going to see and learn so many different things. So the diversity within the community is something that I really enjoy, and we can learn a lot just by watching the other creators and connecting with other people, be it other creators or the viewers. You know, we end up building friendships sometimes, and that is really fulfilling. It is something that we're not necessarily looking for when we start. We don't think that is going to happen, but it does. It happens naturally. As we start creating our content, people will find us, and some of them will really relate to us and connect with us, some of them in a very personal level, and that's really, really cool about being on a platform talking about something that is very near and dear to your heart, like spirituality is for all of us in this community. How do I believe social media as a whole has impacted the community? I think there is a good side and a bad side to everything in life. The good side about witchcraft being on social media is that we are helping to cast light on what witchcraft actually is and what it is not. We are showing people what magic is about and what it isn't. The educational side of the whole thing is really important. I think that also one of the reasons why I'm here is to give a new meaning to the word witch, because this word has been demonized for centuries already. It's about time to give it a new connotation, in my opinion. And the people who are on the internet talking about witchcraft and spirituality, they definitely are helping to build a new meaning for this term, witch, and also witchcraft. Another positive aspect is the connection, is the sense of community, because we often become solitary practitioners. That is my case. I'm not in a coven. I'm not connecting in person with anyone who also is in a similar spiritual path, let's say. So when you find that community, when I personally found this community of the creators, I felt that I was in the place where I belonged for the first time. I felt that I was surrounded by people that I can relate to, people that are similar to me, you know, and that is very special and powerful about this community. community. We are united, you know, that's very cool, that is very strong. Even if we have differences sometimes among ourselves, or considering that we are scattered all over the globe, there's people who live everywhere, literally. At the end of the day, we still have something that keeps us together and keeps the community running smoothly, in my opinion at least. On the other hand, on the flip side of the coin, there's a lot of misinformation being spread, because once people, like the wide public, started noticing that talking about spirituality, being a witch on the internet could be something profitable, could get them attention and likes and a huge following, well, all of a sudden everybody decided they would be a witch as well, even if that's not really what their life is about, and they picked up a tarot deck 2 months ago or something. So there's a lot of people who are just trying to get the hype of witch and witchcraft. That serves no purpose, actually. That's the opposite of what we've been trying to build through our content, but unfortunately we cannot control that. We can only hope that the audience will be able to tell when somebody is just trying to get attention and they don't really know what they're talking about. How do I think social platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have each impacted education/sharing information? I think that platforms like TikTok and Instagram, which are platforms of ephemeral content, short format, quick consumption, disposable content, those platforms can be a little bit problematic in my opinion, because the content that we share on those platforms tend to be very shallow. We don't have the time to develop a lot when it comes to TikTok and Instagram. That's why I kind of ditched TikTok, actually, because people are kind of, I'm not saying everybody, but most of the audience on TikTok has the attention span of a goldfish, and they're not really paying attention to what they're consuming. You have to be there dancing for the algorithm every day, which is exhausting. It is draining, mentally draining. And once you get viral videos out, you expect all your videos to go viral for some reason, and once you have like the hundreds of thousands of views or even the millions of views in a TikTok or a Reels or whatever, that's your measuring point. So you will compare all the other posts to that, but not everything you post is going to go viral. So it can be very damaging for the mental health of the content creators, for one thing, and then the content itself and the consumption of the content, it's all very disposable, it's all very shallow. And I mean, those are the platforms where the audience is. We have to kind of play the game of social media if we want to have our spot, if we want to be relevant, if we want to be, I don't know, somebody in the community. But it is really a struggle to keep the balance between that, creating meaningful content on platforms that are tailored to be disposable and superficial and shallow. Social media is very much guided through appearances and how everything looks, especially Instagram. So I think that platforms like Instagram and TikTok, they contributed to turning witchcraft into a trend and simplifying it to how it looks, when actually most of the time in real life the things we do, they don't look appealing, they don't look beautiful, they don't look Instagrammable, they look like something died right there. They look like that came right out of a nightmare. Oh my god. It's not stuff that we are going to be posting because it doesn't look beautiful. But social media made people believe that witchcraft looks beautiful just because we do. Well, that's not the case. YouTube, on the other hand, which I'm kinda trying to make, not kinda, I chose YouTube to be my main platform, and I've been posting here every week. That's my platform of choice now. YouTube allows you the space and the time to really go deep into every theme, into everything that you want to talk about. You can have long videos, like 1 hour or more. I have a video here, the collab with Juju Time, which is 59 minutes. And also most of my videos, they are at least 20 minutes long. YouTube allows you the space, the opportunity of going deep, developing, going to the detail of things. And that's why I prefer creating for this platform. I think YouTube goes much deeper in its content. I mean, we are able to go much deeper into the content, and no other platform that exists today allows the creators this amount of detail and depth like YouTube does. It is my favorite, hands down. Is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for practice? It could be. It could very well be that people get kind of stuck in watching a spiritual content and they forget to do the work for themselves. They forget to like pick up a book and learn something. And most importantly, they forget to get up from the chair, get some ingredients and work some magic and conjure something and manifest something into their lives. I think that being a passive consumer of media, be it a video, be it a text in a book, it's so easier to fall into those traps because it is so easy to become like lazy and not put in the effort, not put in the work to actually get up and do something. So if you are just consuming a lot of content, well, take the time to actually practice. Like we often call ourselves practitioners, and we call our craft practice because it is something that we do practice. It is something that we craft with our own hands. So it is important to stand up and do things with your own hands. Don't stop at like watching stuff on the internet, and also don't stop at just reading books. Work your magic. So topic 2, influencer authenticity. Oh, that's an interesting one. Out of what I share on social media, how much of it is staged versus reality? Well, I try to, like for example, I try to tidy things up a little bit. I'm not gonna, come on the internet and show a messy room or dirty things. Like when I'm going to take pictures for Patreon, I clean the table, I arrange things nicely. So I think we can say that's kind of staged, but you gotta have like a neat image, something pleasant for the viewer to look at, right? You're not gonna come here looking like crap and and expect people to want to look at it. You gotta make things look nice and interesting. Like as a viewer, what do you like to see? That's what you gotta keep in mind when it comes to the appearance, I would say. And I actually am pretty accurate about showing what I do. I still have to it is going to come along soon, an altar tour, and let's talk about altars. My altar is super basic, it is super simple, it's just candles, a few glasses, sometimes roses. It is really very simple. There's nothing much to my altar, and I'm going to build a new one, and I want to do that in a vlog. So like my vlogs, they are very authentic. It is really the things that I am doing, the things that I'm going through, the places that I go. The vlogs, I think it is the place to be authentic. It is very important important to be authentic and not try to pretend something that you're not, because the viewers can see right through it. As a viewer, I can see right through the bullshit. So I'm pretty sure that other people are able to do that as well. I think it is important to be neat and tidy and clean. That is very important, but it is equally important to truly be yourself, to not be here playing some kind of character, and to not like pretend that your practice is something that it isn't, okay? Don't come to the internet to play a lie for people to watch, because eventually truth will come to light. There's no such a thing as a lie that can be kept forever. So sometimes I record in pajamas, especially in the vlogs. I am in pajamas, you know, and I don't care. I am in pajamas and you're gonna have to deal with me in pajamas. That's reality, that's life. Yeah, I'm not like in full glamour all the time with like a beautiful outfit and makeup on. No, sometimes I'm just tired and wearing my glasses because it's late in the night and I went to work that day, or sometimes I just woke up and I am wearing pajamas. I think it is important to be a person that people can relate to, and people are not with a full face of makeup 24/7. So yeah, I think that I managed to be pretty authentic, and I don't try to make my practice look like something that it isn't. Do I think there is an element of censorship in online spaces? Censorship in online spaces. I don't think that I have experienced that, so I would say no, but my personal experience is limited. I also think that the spiritual community is kind of pretty open-minded, because we can talk openly, like on YouTube, about some sensitive topics, like for example blood magic, animal sacrifice. I think some people have talked about, I have talked about using animal parts as a vegan practitioner, how do I view that, etc. The only thing that can be complicated to explicitly talk about is sex magic due to YouTube's guidelines. That's something that I don't really see people talking about in detail because it gets complicated, you know. We gotta keep things family friendly as much as possible. But other than that, like we talk about death magic, workings in graveyards, graveyard dirt, like talking to spirits. We are free to talk about pretty much everything that belongs to our practices, so that's pretty cool. How do I decipher what is appropriate to share online versus what to keep privately? Is this based on social media etiquette or a personal preference? I think that it is something very personal to me, at least. What are my boundaries of what I'm gonna share and where and how? Like for example, location is something completely out of question. I do not share where I am. Like on Instagram, for example, if I tag the place, it's because I'm not there anymore. I've been there, I passed there, I did something, etc., took pictures, whatever. But when I post and the location is there, I'm not there anymore. Stalking is a real thing, and it's not because I have a small following that it couldn't happen to me. People can get obsessed over somebody for like no reason. Just having a very unbalanced crush on you could be enough reason for you to be stalked by somebody, and I don't want to have any unpleasant surprises. I have seen some other creators talking about stalking experiences, having things sent to their house, etc. And that seems so freaky, so scary. I will do my best to keep those things from happening to me. And also, of course, when it comes to my practice in itself, I'm not gonna post every single aspect of it online. Like on Patreon, I do share some more personal things that I do, but like in my offering day, when I am here before my altar, I'm not gonna film that and post it online. One, because I'm not gonna be concentrated enough as I usually am. I'm not gonna be as present in the moment because I will be like dividing my attention with the camera and seeing if it is rolling and if everything is correct. That's not the kind of thing that is supposed to be filmed. It's a personal moment. It's you with spirit, and nobody should be looking at it, in my opinion, unless you invite them in person. It's not the kind of thing that is supposed to be recorded, in my opinion, but to each their own. Have I ever encountered or heard of grifters in our community? I have not heard of grifters. I didn't read through the questions before filming. I wanted to kind of, be spontaneous about my answers, so I don't know what a grifter is, to be honest. Let me see if I can find it on Google. What is a grifter? What is a grifter? A person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. Okay, so it's like scammers, right? Well, in that case, yes. If grifter means scammer, yes, I've encountered some. And it is actually one of the reasons why I stopped using TikTok, because on TikTok, it is very easy for people to pretend that they are you. Which is like, what the fuck? What the heck, man? How can people do this and not have any consequences? Like, it has, I think that on TikTok, at least 3 fake accounts have been created, and the thing that is super annoying about those fake accounts is that they steal your pictures, your videos, they steal the things that you worked hard to create from scratch. They just like screenshot it and repost whatever. They pretend to be you, and then they start going through your followers, sending them messages, offering tarot readings usually, when in fact this is just like they are trying to get money out of people who follow you. That is so twisted. That is so fucked up. It really frustrates me enormously that people do this, like that they can reproduce, copy your content, post on another account and reach out to your followers. It was really a struggle for me to get at least one of those accounts down, because once they create that whole thing, they block you, so you will not even be aware that's happening. Thankfully, I had some followers to warn me about it because I didn't know, and it was something really frustrating to deal with, to be honest. On YouTube, on the other hand, this kind of thing will not go by unpunished. YouTube is able to catch up if somebody is reposting your videos and like pretending to be you, and YouTube itself takes the whole thing down. You don't need necessarily to take action because YouTube pays attention to the content that is being put on the platform. I wish that Instagram and TikTok would do the same thing. Do I recognize them? What are significant signs of grifters in the community? So when it comes to those kinds of scammers, it is very easy to spot them if you pay a little bit of attention, because I have seen this being done to many other creators. And yeah, so what happens? Those people, they create a username very similar to the original creator with a slight difference in it, and they will send you a message offering you a reading. Serious content creators do not reach out to people to offer anything. It's the other way around. It's you who reach out to them if you are interested in the services that they may provide. So if I would provide tarot readings for people, which is something that I have been asked to do, actually, I am actually considering doing that on Patreon. But anyway, it's not like I'm not gonna go after you to offer that service. You are going to see it somewhere and you are going to, try to reach out and find out how to purchase that service. So as viewers, keep in mind that creators do not reach out to you. They will not reach out to you, especially not offering something, offering some kind of service. So always pay attention to the username, if it is actually written correctly, the amount of followers, because like if somebody you follow has 100,000 followers and then there's this account with 500, obviously it's not the same person. What tools are helpful to decipher misinformation, and how can we as a community prevent widespread misinformation? Well, research, have sources, be very sure of what you are talking about, have your sources in mind when you are talking about something. I think that referring to your sources is the best way to avoid spreading misinformation. I mean, it can happen to anyone. We can sometimes be sure of an information and then later on discover it wasn't that accurate. It can happen, but we can always take down content that we don't agree with anymore. And when it comes to other creators who consistently share misinformation, the best we can do is to not give them attention, to not give them the spotlight. That's what's within our control. How does a large following impact the perception of the creator? I think that when somebody has a large following, people from the outside have a tendency to believe that this person has their life figured out. They have all the answers. They are the key holders of the gates of truth, and that they are also swimming in money. And that's not the case. Even if somebody has a large following, they still have struggles, they have problems, they have stuff they need to deal with, they have trauma to digest and overcome, they have bills to pay. And being a content creator, especially when it comes to the spiritual niche, is really like financially challenging. I think there are questions about that later on, so I'm not gonna get into much detail, but it is complicated to make a living as a spirituality content creator. So having a large following doesn't mean that everything is in order for that person and that their life is like paradise and perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. Does this immediately make them an expert, or are there other assumptions as to why they may have a large following? So again, having a large following doesn't mean that a person is an expert or a specialist in anything. So you can't expect creators to be error-proof. You know, they might share something that wasn't super accurate, they might make mistakes because they are human. There's a lot of this dehumanization of content creators, as though people on the other side of the screen forget that we are human beings over here, dealing with a lot of stuff in our daily lives as well. And we are not experts. We are just experiencing a journey and sharing it. And yeah, there are assumptions to why somebody might have a large following. If you are a beautiful woman, there will be people who think that you only get attention because you're pretty. And the only reason why you have a large following is because you are beautiful. They completely disregard the amount of work and effort and all the hours of your existence that you have put into making that thing happen. Having a large following or being successful, let's put it that way, is like an iceberg. People only see the tip of it, the very tip outside of the water, which is the success and the big numbers. But they don't see what's underneath the water. That's all the struggle, all the work, all the effort that you've put consistently for like 2, 3, 4 or more than, I don't know, years You know, you've been there consistently for years. People don't see that. They just look at your account and see the numbers and think that all of that fall onto your lap without you doing anything. That you're just pretty, you came here, you smiled at the camera, and that's it. But that's so not the case. How does one maintain the balance of authenticity and content creation? That's an eternal struggle because we always try to keep in mind what the algorithms expect from us. We have to keep that in mind. We have to play the game of the platforms if we want our accounts to grow. But it can be difficult to not lose ourselves in the process, especially if our account starts attracting a lot of attention and a large audience. I think that for me personally is to not give a damn. Not giving a damn helps me keep authentic, helps me keep being myself. I think that not taking yourself too seriously is the key to authenticity, like being able to laugh at yourself, being able to allow yourself to commit mistakes and, you know, learn with them and laugh with the entire process. I think that in the community, people have a tendency in this community to take themselves too seriously, like they just came out of some kind of cult, goth movie kind of thing. I don't know. So chill, you know, relax and allow yourself to sit back and laugh a little bit because we are not here to be perfect. So, you know, just relax a little bit and don't take yourself too seriously. Now, next topic, impostor syndrome and FOMO, also known as fear of missing out. When I follow other creators in the community space, does it make me feel genuinely inspired and empowered, or does it create feelings of FOMO and being less than? I think that comparison, my God, why do we do that to ourselves? Comparison is a killer of joy, and we do that to ourselves all the freaking time for some reason. We might look at somebody's video and think that their setting is more interesting than ours, their outfit is nicer than ours, their, I don't know, makeup is better. That we might look at somebody, and this is just like 20% of what somebody actually is. We're not seeing, let me see if I can show that. You're not seeing that I have a bat-themed sock on me. Yeah, I am in socks here. I have a nice dress on, but I am actually wearing socks. And sometimes, when I just have a blouse, I am wearing pajamas. So this can be like pajama pants. This can be an analogy. You are not seeing the entire thing. You're not getting the entire picture when you see somebody on the screen. It's just a snippet, a very small demo of who they are and how their life is. But when we see somebody all nice and tidy on their content, we immediately compare ourselves, and that can be the killer not only of joy but also of inspiration and motivation, because you might look at yourself, look at your life, look at your reality and think that you're not good enough to be here occupying spaces. And that's not true. So seeing other creators makes me inspired because I feel like, I'm part of this. And I really like to get to know the practice at least, to get to know the background of other people, where they come from, the stories they were told growing up, the traditions they were surrounded with in their area of origin. I really like that. If I experience FOMO, has it ever left me feeling vulnerable to be taken advantage of financially or otherwise? I don't really feel in any way afraid of being taken advantage of financially or otherwise. I don't have that feeling, and I don't really think that I have FOMO, actually. Even though I am on the internet creating content, I try to minimize my use of social media as much as possible. I don't I've read that book by, is it Jerome Lanier? 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now, I believe is the title. I've read that book. I didn't have an Instagram account for like more than 3 years, and I created one because of the channel. So I try to keep things minimal when it comes to social media because I like to dedicate my time to things that matter to me. I prefer to spend 1 hour reading or embroidering or painting instead of spending 1 hour mindlessly scrolling for things that will not change anything in my life. So I don't really have fear of missing out. I don't think I do. Yay, that's good news, isn't it? There's an example here. An example would be the need to purchase the latest popular product or book to fit in. I don't feel that need to fit in because I feel that I am already within, so I don't feel that I need to fit in. But sometimes I see a book. Books are my, how can I say, it is my soft spot. It is my weakness. Sometimes I see certain books and I'm like, my God, that book must be so interesting. I need to get a copy. And I get so stressed over the book because it sells out so quickly because everybody's talking about it and everybody's buying it. It has happened to me with, I'm gonna show them to you because they're right here. So, The Bones Fall in a Spiral by Mortalis. This book was really hard to get because it was sold out all the time. And also Walking the Twilight Path by Michelle Ballinger was also sold out all the time. And I was like, I want them, I need them. Yeah, I was freaking out because like wanting something and not being able to get it, it does something to you. It's like, so that's how I experience the need of getting something. When I see a book that seems very interesting to me and that I believe that would add a lot to my personal practice, I get really eager to have a copy. But it's not coming from a place of trying to fit in. I'm just trying to be more efficient when connecting to spirits and the dead. That's all. When practicing my craft, do I find myself comparing what I do to what I've been seeing people do online? Absolutely not. I am fine with that. My personal practice is very well resolved, if that makes sense to say. Like, I am very much grounded in what I do and confident in my stuff. So yeah, when it comes to my practice in itself, I don't compare myself to others. I just do what I do, what I've learned with my foremothers, and there we go. In what ways do I combat imposter syndrome? I have experienced a little bit of imposter syndrome, and one of my mantras for life is the only way out is through. So if there's something that is really challenging you and being difficult for you, you just have to face it. Look at it in the eye, face it, suck it up, buttercup. That's what you're gonna do about it. So I felt that certain things weren't really my place, like deepening my knowledge of my own culture and talking about it. I had a little bit of a struggle there because I am not a religious authority. So for me, it was a little bit difficult to, come to the internet and tell people about it when it is in fact my heritage. It's my roots and everything. So of course I am entitled to my heritage. Like, what the heck? What is this imposter syndrome all about? So I just went for it. The only way out is through. There's no way around. What would my practice look like without the social media influence or other creators? It would look the same. I'm pretty sure it would look the same. Yeah, it's stuff I already did before, so I don't think a lot would change. Maybe I wouldn't have a cabinet of little jars with things. Maybe it would be, I don't know, a box hidden somewhere. But anyway, I don't think it would be a lot different if there wouldn't be a witchcraft community online. I don't think the community has that much of an impact in my personal practice. Now, topic 4, capitalizing off community. Okay, I think this is like about monetizing the content and everything. So, do I consider online communities as equally valid to in-person communities? Yes, but they are definitely different. If you come to an online space, you are never in a million years have the same experience you would have in person. I think both the experiences are very valid and necessary, especially nowadays in the world we live in. We can't escape online gatherings, right? I would say that one thing complements the other. So in my case, there's a big lack of an in-person thing going on. I mean, I give readings to friends every now and then. It's always a pleasant experience. It's nice to see how divination can touch deep into other people. But yeah, I'm not part of any religion, of any coven. And you know what? I'm fine. I'm really doing fine. I don't feel the need. But on the other hand, the online community, it is good to be part of a community, you know? In-person communities aren't really an option for me, considering that I'm not living in my country of origin. So the online community kind of balances things out for me, and I still have the feeling of belonging somewhere, you see? But yeah, I consider both of them valid. They are just a little bit different. How have online occult/witchcraft community impacted me as a person and a practitioner? The impact for me was having the feeling that I finally found a community to call my own. I always felt throughout my life kind of disconnected from people, not being able to relate to anyone and being the odd one out. The people, like the person that like nobody was really similar to me, and I had weird tastes for clothing and music that I didn't have anyone to share those things with, and spirituality much less. So I feel that I finally found my place, and that is very important to me, to be honest. It is good to feel that you belong. It is really important. What are some of the dangers of the current phenomenon of capitalizing off the witchcraft community? Well, some of the dangers are that people can turn anything into a product, you know, make some lame, bad quality, I don't know, t-shirts, mugs, candles, whatever, what have you, just to make a quick buck, and people will fall for that and actually buy those things. Also, the spread of misinformation that also becomes part of stuff being sold. So before you put your money into what any creator is selling or providing, make sure that this person is reliable, that they really know what they're talking about, that they're coming from a place of like several years of experience, been there, done that, they've been initiated maybe, you know, make sure this is a person who knows what they're doing and that they are reliable, that their sources are solid in experience, in their personal path, or, you know, books that they refer to. Make sure you can trust the creator before you purchase anything or, you know, put your money on a creator. Have I been personally affected by this, or have I witnessed somebody else be affected? No, I don't think I have been affected I've been affected by scammers stealing my content, stealing my pictures, pretending to be me to get like dishonest money from my followers. That was so frustrating. Should there be paywalled communities and online courses? I think so. I mean, as long as the person providing that service knows what they're talking about, I don't see the problem. If it is somebody who is really well versed in the thing they are trying to sell, and somebody with a lot of experience, somebody that is reliable and who has a solid reputation, why not? We got bills to pay, you know, and all of us are over here just trying to make our passions become our careers. Don't fool yourself. Nobody is on the internet posting stuff just for the pure joy of it. We know that many people, many creators managed to make a career out of the internet, and that's the 21st century dream. Nobody can stand working 9-to-5 jobs anymore. It has become toxic. It's not worth it because you work your ass off and you are paid like a shitty amount of money that you can't even pay your rent by yourself with the salary you are paid. You have to split the bills with somebody or get roommates. People are sick and tired of working jobs, you know. Being on the internet is an opportunity for people to find financial freedom to an extent, and through something that they really love, something that is important to them. In this case, it is spirituality, witchcraft. Like, wouldn't you love to turn your passion into a career? It is something completely different to work with something that you're passionate about. And that's what, at the end of the day, they might deny it, but all creators are pursuing their passions on the internet, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think that when there is a paywall, like platforms such as Patreon or YouTube memberships, that is really nice because you kind of make a even closer community that it essentially consists of people who really care about you. Somebody who is willing to pay monthly to have access to more content from you. Those are people who really like you. And this becomes a very safe space for the creator. So in Patreon, for example, I share very personal things that are going on in my life. I share some details of my personal practice that I don't share anywhere else. And I feel safe to do that over there because it is a protected space. Paywalls are a form of protection and also of freedom of speech. You have more freedom to talk about topics that wouldn't be very well received on open platforms, like by the general public. So paywalls are like, I only see advantages. You have more freedom, you have 100% of a community that cares about you, and you have this compensation, this financial compensation that will help you pay your bills at the end of the month. So it is great, win-win situation. How does one ensure the authenticity of courses, workshops, memberships, etc. as a financial investment? So me as a creator, every time I am thinking about the posts for Patreon, I keep it very clear in my mind that people are paying money to have access to that, and money does not fall from the sky. This is the hard-earned money that somebody is investing on me because they believe in my work, they believe in my worth, and I do not want to disappoint them. So I try my best to keep the content of Patreon and YouTube memberships because I post the same extra content on both platforms, Patreon and YouTube memberships. I do my best to keep those contents valuable to the audience because people are paying to have access to that. And by the way, speaking of which, if my content seems interesting to you, make sure to pay a visit to my Patreon page because over there I share exclusive bonus content for only 1 cup of coffee per month. There's a lot of divination going on there, weekly and monthly, and also a bunch of spell tutorials, many of them from my personal witchcraft. So make sure to take a look at that page or the YouTube membership that has the same content being shared. You will not regret it, I'm sure. I think that you can keep the authenticity as long as you're not turning it like into this thing that you have to churn out content every day. I think that any platform that forces the creator to be posting every day when it comes to spells and that kind of thing, it is going to lose authenticity because that person just has to come up with ideas every day. I don't rely on pages on TikTok or Instagram that are posting spell tutorials every day. I post spell tutorials twice a month. So I think that's much more like controlled when it comes to authenticity. It is stuff that I do in my personal practice that I share on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. So I think that the rule to authenticity when it comes to memberships, workshops, and courses is to not turn it into a factory production. As long as it is natural, you can keep it authentic. Okay, now conclusion. What are some topics of conversation I'd like to see more of in our community? I would like to see more minorities occupying spaces in the community. I would like to see, I don't know, a transgender woman creating content about spirituality. I would like to see indigenous people talking about their cultural heritage. That would be amazing. I would love to be able to see Asian content creators talking about their heritage, you know, in English, so I would be able to watch it, you know. I would love to see more diversity and more inclusion than we already have. Cultures and like different backgrounds, this is something that really fascinates me and I love to see it. What are my community needs? I think I'm good. To be honest, I think I'm good. Where would I like to be held and supported? I'm not gonna lie. I would love to have more more Patreons and more YouTube channel members, but that's something that is earned, not given. So it is something that is going to be built over time. It's gonna come in its own time, so I'm chill about it. Where do I feel like I'm naturally being seen by my community? To be honest, I don't have that feeling. I mean, if I was able to get the Norse Witch and Ivy the Occultist to do collaborations with me, which are going to come up on the channel very soon, okay? It means that I am being seen, I am being taken seriously, and my content is being appreciated. So I don't feel like I'm not being seen, much on the contrary. How can we help each other in removing the external peer pressure and grow in community? I think that this community is pretty altruistic. I think that every creator kind of supports one another. Of course that there is affinity and there's people that you get along better and people that you get to know more than others. So not everybody will be friends with everybody, but we do try to help one another as best as we can. And that's very cool. How can we as a community come together more with constructive criticism without it seeming shady or passive aggressive? When it comes to criticism, I think that I'm gonna say it. I think that many people in the community don't know how to take criticism well. I've seen some people that really cannot take the slight criticism and they freak out and they go, I mean, you are exposing yourself, you are putting your face in the sun. That is a very brave thing to do, but that has consequences, which is people believing that they have the right to come and tell you what they think. And that's not always going to be pleasant for us to hear. So we gotta learn how to deal with it in a healthy manner, you know? It's hard, it is annoying, but we gotta know how to take criticism. Otherwise, like, don't have a channel, don't expose yourself on the internet. It is what it is. There are definitely ways of saying things And some comments, they are very politely done, even if they are criticizing, while other comments are very rude and condescending. Those don't deserve our time or energy. They don't even deserve an answer, to be honest. But when it comes to politely done criticism, we gotta know how to take it. We gotta know how to take it. How can we as a community do better when we do receive criticism and feedback? I've just said it. You gotta know how to deal with it. You gotta, work on being humble, on understanding that you cannot be perfect. You are not perfect, and well, it is what it is. You gotta know how to deal with criticism if you are going to put your face in the sun. Am I saying it is easy? No, not at all. I'm saying it's necessary. Who are some community members that I look up to that are reliable resources and aspirations? I believe that Ivy the Occultist, she's super knowledgeable. It is amazing. She has such a vast knowledge and understanding of stuff. I really like the Norse Witch as well, because I think she's an example of determination and being hardworking. I really admire. I always forget that the pronouns are they, them, and I keep calling she. The Norse Witch is not a she. The Norse Witch is a they, them. Damn it. I am scolding myself right now. I'm sorry. So the Norse Witch, they are an example of being persevering, being determined, hardworking, focused. I really admire the Norse Witch, and they were one of the people who inspired me to start my channel. So the day that we did a collab, for me, it really meant a lot. And also the Witch of Wonderlust, I think that on her channel, there's a lot that we can learn in a very digestible manner, easy to understand and easy to, it's not like she's trying to be academic about stuff. It's much more from a fuck around and find out kind of vibe that she's coming from, and that's so much easier to relate to and learn from. Add any further thoughts, comments, prompt questions of your own, or express further points of view. I've gotta say, damn, was this thing long? My God. Here's something, I'm sorry for saying, but here's something that the community can work on. Being a little bit more straight to the point. My God, this thing was huge. I have 1 hour and 20 minutes of footage. My editor is going to be flustered. My God, you guys, this could have been shorter, in my opinion. Just saying. I mean, with all due respect, I don't mean to be shady or anything, but my God, 1 hour and 20 minutes. Anyway, I still, even if it was long, like this, I want to thank Ella, the Red-Headed Witch, and the Polish Folk Witch for creating this tag. It is always very interesting to discuss those things and compare experiences. So thank you for coming up with the idea. Once again, occultea is a brilliant name. I wouldn't be able to think of something better. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and remember, practice makes perfect. So let's go witching. Bye bye.